I was at the hospital last night with one of the children. He went into a series of very violent seizures and just wouldn't stop. So we took him, and I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking, some of these people, they'll just be waking up now and making their breakfast completely oblivious to the fact that because in their heart they decided to reach out and share with what we're doing for these children here. I was able to have fuel in my car and to be able to drive to the hospital with money for the bills to make sure that Joshua could get the treatment to put a stop to his seizures. Without intervention, he would have seizured possibly until death or until irreparable brain damage last night. And this place only exists because of you guys, and you have no idea what you've just done. At every given moment, I can't share what is happening, but every given moment, when you share with us, you're the one healing them. That's what I was thinking while I was driving. While you're sleeping in your bed, or going about your daily work, oblivious to the idea that you're saving a child's life here. It's pretty amazing. God bless you. Bye. I have been fasting, and because I am currently fasting even, I am in detox, I have brain fog, and I look a little skinnier than normal, I would imagine. But it's a perfect time, therefore, to speak about this profoundly important topic, this key. Fasting in my life, and in everybody's life, I believe, is undoubtedly a key to deeper realms of consciousness and to higher dimensions of wisdom and love and the power that is found there. We are a species that is adapted to fasting. Fasting is very healthy and good for the human body. Our body has its own internal mechanisms and workings to make fasting work, to make it work for us. And so I want to share with this video multiple layers. I want to share everything that you need to know physiologically about fasting. Everything you need to know to fast safely. And I speak as a man who has fasted 40 days on only water, 40 days and 40 nights, 0 calories, and successfully done so, and several other long fasts as well, 21, 28, 33. Many long fasts have been a part of my life, and a very important part of my life. But I've also had a bad experience, which was caused through my being chronically ill when I embarked on the fast and not recognizing how weakened my system was. And so I speak having been aware from within a body that not only has successfully fasted but also gotten it wrong at one point. And this, of course, is a great way to be able to share the pitfalls of fasting on a physiological sense if you're not careful. But there's also the spiritual element, which is breaking free of the 3D reality, breaking free of your awareness's attachment to mind and body and the input of your senses inside of Maya, this reality, the fallen world as Yeshua called it. And then beyond there, the physiology of that which is often not spoken of much, but is a part of the road we all should aim to take. Yeshua, Jesus, made fasting more famous than anybody in the West by fasting 40 days and 40 nights. And he said that when you fast, not if. And he also said that when it came to dealing with negative energies and entities, that this kind cometh out except through fasting and prayer. And so the spiritual element of finding our way onto that road, which is to be a follower of the way, which is the way by which we are living for the will of a higher compassion, not self-will and self-desire. is the Christic path. And fasting anatomically gives birth to a very important substance inside the human body that's little spoken of, that I coined the term the sacred secretion, and it's used quite a lot by now. But this sacred secretion, this chrism, this iktos, this internal Christ within you, this substance which is very precious, in fasting your homeostasis of the chemical balance of your body, and also the metaphysical balance of your actions, your thoughts, your deeds, become extremely heightened and purified. And in that space, this secretion is preserved and activated, and it alters the very functionality of your brain and your body temple. And in that space, you perceive reality through a higher mind, which you can only access when this activates. You don't have to know about it for it to activate, but if you are seeing reality through your higher mind and through that higher love, it has taken place. And so let me start at the beginning with physiologically. Is it safe to fast? Something many people ask me. Yes. Your body has within it a system called autophagy. And in the first 2 to 3 days of fasting, depending on your gender, typically with women it's 2 days and with men it's 3 days, the body moves from glucose to burning ketone bodies, unless of course you're already eating ketogenically. Eating ketogenically means you're not eating any carbohydrates, of course, or below 20 grams a day or whatever the catchment is. But this is a cessation of all caloric input. And this means that you use up all of the glycogen, the glucose in your liver and in your muscles. And on day 2 or 3, your body automatically, with its wisdom, switches to burning fat and ketones. And those ketones burn very clean, and you feel it. Your mind gets very clear at some points because of that. When this switch takes place, you start autophagy. Now, autophagy is not occurring very well at all if you are still eating. It doesn't occur when you're in ketosis necessarily if you're eating calories, and that's because of something in the body called mTOR. And mTOR is activated when the body has 0 calories going in, and that triggers autophagy. And autophagy is an inner surgeon. Basically, your body and its wisdom seeks and searches for fuel to burn and to survive the fast on, and it automatically finds the damaged and broken cells and materials first. So it starts to clean all of the junk out of your body that life causes you to create, all of the radicals, damaged cells, etc. I even met a man who needed heart surgery, and after 28 days of fasting on water, his plaque in his arteries was gone, and he no longer needed that heart surgery. His body had auto-leased, it had searched in autophagy for that which was not needed, and it managed to dislodge and presumably assimilate, however you describe it, digest is not the right term, I guess, the artery plaque. And so this is truly the inner surgeon. And in that time also you are getting a boost of stem cells and healing, and your tissues start to repair. And you will find that problems that you might have had for a long time, you know, little scars on your body, etc., or perhaps something deeper, pain in your joints, whatever it may be, will begin to heal during that period. They begin to go away for the first time in years. And so this is the anatomical side of it. And when it comes to drinking water, I drink in accordance to my thirst. I again listen to my body. Now, if you want to understand the physiological in staying safe, I always recommend looking at the work of Dr. Shelton. And Dr. Shelton, his book on fasting and on sunbathing and so on, is a profoundly rich source of information on this, and it's a good way to educate yourself on how to fast safely. Because doing the fast itself is quite straightforward, but breaking the fast is something that requires care. You can actually get very sick from breaking a fast incorrectly. If you fasted for more than 5 days to 7 days, normally your digestive system has shut down completely. and it needs coaxing back into life. And if you don't coax it back into life and you eat the wrong food, it can be lethal. And this is proven in World War II when they had people leaving prison camps. Local families felt so terrible for their condition, they made them a big meal of meat and potatoes, and people ate it, and they went into ultimately an electrolyte imbalance called refeeding syndrome, and it caused them to have heart attacks and to die. And so you have to gently refeed your body, especially the longer the fast. If you fasted 40 days, you need to be clued up. You have to have the know-how of how to end this fast safely. There are people who can coach you with that. There are plenty of books out there, and it's up to you to educate yourself to become the knowledge that you need to get through that. In my life, the one fast that went badly, I began to eat and I'd been very weak from sickness, and I actually ended up with a thiamine deficiency, a severe one, and it caused an electrolyte imbalance, which caused pain in my heart because my electrolytes were not sending the electrical signals as they should. Whenever I ate food, the pain increased as the body needs to move things in and out of the bloodstream and cells to digest food and to assimilate the minerals, etc., that are going in. And that experience was quite alarming, but it didn't put me off from fasting because I understood eventually, because it didn't make sense at first, what had happened. And that was a very rare instance. I was catastrophically weak when I started that fast, and I perhaps should have built myself up further before trying to go as long as I did. And so there's no, I don't feel, extreme danger to a water fast. I've fasted long times, as I say, more times than I can count. I've done prolonged fasts, and always to the benefit of my health afterwards, and to the benefit of my mind and my spiritual connection afterwards. That said, of course, I should caveat, which I never do, but you probably should at least study heavily. And if you can go to a fasting clinic where doctors observe you, here in Germany there are places you can go and fast safely under doctor supervision for up to 40 days. They are all over the world, so those things are options for you as well. But don't use that as an excuse to not fast short periods. A 3-day fast is simple, and it should be a part even of your monthly life. I like to fast at least 3 days a month. I don't always manage to achieve it, and I mean 3 days back to back. Now this is me talking about water fasting. Of course there's other types of fasting, as people call it, but this is what I'm referencing, water fasting. There's dry fasting where you don't take fluid or water, and to understand that I read the work of Dr. Filanov, and I've dry fasted as well, but I can see that dry fasting is very daunting for some people, but for 2 or 3 days, again, it's quite easy. And afterwards, when you start breaking the fast and drinking water, you feel the benefit. You feel the heightened mental acumen. You feel the cleanness of your body, and with it, your connection to your heart and to spirit. And so, but for here, I reference water fasting. And I know people do intermittent fasting, but I've ate 1 meal a day since 2010. So I'm always intermittent fasting. For the whole of my life, I've been intermittent fasting. There are periods at Christmas where I add an extra meal, or if there's any particular day I really feel a need to, I might, but predominantly, more than 96% of the days, I'd say I've only ate 1 meal a day since 2010. And so that emptiness, in a sense, I feel helps me to connect, and the reason for that is, as I said, fasting is also a key. This is the physiological out the side. I hope that furnishes you with the information you might need. Spiritually speaking, fasting is the key to deeper levels of consciousness, to higher dimensions of wisdom and guidance, and love in its purest of form. Love in its purest of form is, I love you, and I need, want, and I expect nothing from you. Love in its purest form is something that few of us have experienced, few of us have known. We believe we love unconditionally, but it's always based on relationship or expectation or want or need. I love you unconditionally because you give me this, because you are my child and I have a relationship with you. And this is a different type of love. And love has got nothing to do with personal history. Love as a force has nothing to do with your personal relationships, personal history, and your personal beliefs. Love as a force is a force, and it is impersonal. And that is why unconditioned love is a love that needs, wants, and expects nothing. We, as human beings, have lost track of the fact that the love with which we love is that love that we are. It is that force of love which is impersonal. The love with which you love your family is the love that you actually, beneath the veil of thought and the dream of the personal you and personal history, you are that love. What I mean by that is, in fasting, this was revealed to who I was clearly as a man. That love was coming through. It was pushing. And the mind takes that love and structures it into the personal identity in thought. And so we take that love and we have this love which is pure, an energy that's pure beyond any creation of a human. It's a force beyond human thought, mind and will. And it is present in the pouring forth of the generous heart of Creator. It comes into you, and your mind takes a hold of it and organizes it and says in that organization, this is my love, and I choose to love this person and this person and this person, and I choose not to love this person and this person. So thought and the structure of mind is the conditioner of the love of God. Always, always it is. And to the degree that you have humility, which is an absence of a personal structure taking a hold of that love and conditioning it, is the degree by which you will be able to bring love without condition into every action, meaning your deeds are compassionate in every given moment. This happens in fasting because you let go of your connection to this reality. Yeshua was clear that when you fast, not if. Yeshua himself, who was said to be the closest of close to God, the very Son of God, had to fast 40 days to find that clear, open connection with our Creator and with the flow of creation and the power, the attributes that are born spiritually in a human there. Yeshua had to do it, and we are no different. When we fast, what we are doing is we are saying no to the very base functionality of identification with mind and body. We're saying no to our connection to the 3D matrix that we live within. If you imagine this as a 3D simulation, and you as a soul essence, in your original form, in your original life force, are not from this 3D matrix. You're from the realm of spirit. You transcend into time, space and matter, the 3D matrix, and have a human experience. That formless awareness is who you actually are. Now the mind grabs it and builds this structure of a self, etc. But that formless awareness is a loving awareness. And it's lovingly aware of all that is taking place here. But it can get lost. As awareness gets dragged into the very alluring body and mind, it gets tumbled around inside our thoughts. And as that awareness is tumbled within there, eventually we don't have a distinction between awareness, the truth of what we are, and our thoughts. And so we believe that we are the thoughts, roles, personal history, and all of the responsibilities we pile on top of that image of self in mind is who we are. The impulse of your 5 senses to this 3D matrix reinforces that illusion in thought. Now when you fast, what you are doing is you are unplugging all of the chains of your 5 senses into the 3D realm. The core structure of identification with mind and body is around reproduction at the very base level and consuming food. When you fast, you overcome those base structures, and that's enough space to peer through the illusion of who you think you are in thought and this personal history and memories and this personal identity, and transcend that to the role-free loving awareness. And so you think you are John, an Englishman, and now you are lovingly aware that these roles are coming up in the mind and therefore they are not it. They were just labels to try and help you to point at what is going on in this epic unified field of creation and consciousness. Fasting breaks you free from the 3D matrix. It breaks you free from identification with body and mind. And this is the key. This is the key to a higher dimension of wisdom. For there you access formless awareness as your core state, and there you begin to transcend time, space and matter, and you move to the place of the one who set time, space and matter into motion that is not restricted by it. So you yourself are becoming a formless, timeless awareness, and in that space you enter unity with the formless, timeless one that set forth time, space and matter. This key is profoundly important, because when you connect to that space, what you are doing is you are connecting to the master programmer. And this 3D matrix, as Yeshua had to fast in this 3D matrix to overcome Satan, this 3D matrix doesn't only have the programs of God entering it, the master creator, the master programmer, our creator, our creation flow, the zero not zero, the Christ, the creator. This master programmer is sending its program codes into the 3D matrix. But there is another, as Yeshua said, a god of this world, Satan. And he wants to be the all-knowingness of the creation field of God through attainment of knowledge, through understanding as many fragments as possible. And this hyper-intelligent being and all of its technologies and abilities, as I believe Satan would use technology as we do, has collected so much information about the creation field, about time, space and matter, that now it is able to mimic creation. It's able to be a false creator God. And this is not new, for Jesus said the god of this world is Satan. The Nag Hammadi said exactly what I am saying as well. So others have seen this. So the 3D matrix has a programmer, we can call the satanic programmer, who is sending programs and codes into this reality, and you are transcending those programs to reach the master programmer. And this is why Yeshua healed in this reality, because the codes and programs that the lesser programmer, that the fallen one and his programs, which he's creating through knowledge of time, space and matter, are not in the will and the want of the heart of that compassionate creator that set forth it all. But it set forth it all in infinite potential and free will, so that life would have meaning and value. Now this is important, because if you try to attain as much information about time, space and matter as you can, to then mimic the creative capacity of the all-knowing God that set it forward, you yourself therefore are creating from ignorance, because you can only collect so much. You can't be all-knowing, and you can only collect so much information about time, space and matter. And whether this being has a profound spiritual understanding and power we can't understand, or whether it's using AI to collect all that information and simulate what it needs to, who knows? But either way, Yeshua agreed, this reality has to be transcended. Your connection to flesh has to be altered to connect with spirit. Your belief and identification with mind and body and the Maya illusion, the fallen world, has to at some point be overcome. It cannot be in the driving seat. It doesn't devalue being human or being a father or being a mother. It just means that in the very center of your driving seat, as you are an interdimensional being, you no longer cut yourself off from the spiritual, supernatural capacity that you have. And by cutting yourself off, I mean identifying with mind and body alone. Instead, you identify with the Creator, that higher dimension. And in fasting, when you separate your sensory connection to this 3D matrix and its fallen nature and the many perversions that are being born because of that, you open, in a sense, a wormhole to the master programmer, and you bring the programs into this reality. And that's how people like Yeshua heal. That's why coherence healing takes place, where hundreds of people open up a little wormhole each, and each bring a bit of the new code or program in, and bring that into the energy body of the human beings in front of them, and heal them against the programs coming from the the lesser programmer, the god of this world, Satan. This is very important because this is a complete change in the operating system of your life, and it's necessary, it's needed. But beyond all of that, there is also within you something that puts you on line with the Christic path. You know, in Christianity they say you are baptized with the Holy Spirit, baptism of fire. What this references in normal speak is the unification of the human life with Creator's will, and the birth thereafter of the supernatural capacity of a human being. This connection to the Christic is not merely awakening. People can awaken and connect to a higher dimension, which is not the master programmer. It's not our creator. It is this lesser false creator, this false creator God and its minions and its intelligence. People can transcend time and space and matter and elevate and connect to the wrong dimension. And that dimension will allow them to create in this world, but at the detriment of their fellow man. It will say, I am going to create, but as I create, I do not care about the well-being of the collective. I don't create from unity. I value self above other. The Christic path, the path of the master programmer, will always value other above yourself. For there that true love is born, that love without condition and unpolluted by the 3D illusion of a personal self and a personal history that has its own will and desire. You transcend that and create from a different place, a place of I love you and I don't need, want or expect anything, because you are fulfilled by the connection to Source. If you are not connected to Source, you will not be fulfilled, and you will chase the comfortable prison cell of worldly desire. And if you feel that when you attain all of your worldly desire you're free, you're wrong. You've built yourself a comfortable prison cell. If you overcome worldly desire, you are free, and you will know the difference as one who attained worldly desire and then managed to the best of my capacity as I am human to live in spaces where I'd overcame that worldly desire and identification with the flesh and its impulses and the intellectual compulsion for pleasure and so on, that the freedom is beyond worldly desire, the true freedom. Now, to get onto that path physiologically, you are harmonically attuning to the realm of the Christ, the master programmer, the creator, the Christ. To do that, you have a few things, and fasting helps you to bring yourself into those things. Number one is harmonic attunement. And harmonic attunement takes place with correct speech, correct action, correct thoughts, and grace. Ultimately, this unified field you live within, it is sacred. For all it has been tampered with, there is still the sacred pouring forth of the generous heart of God in creation here. When you fast, you are temperate. You are not taking more than your share from this reality. Reality and its resources become something you respect deeply. They're not something for you to grab at and consume mindlessly to fulfill your own will, desires and pleasure. It's something sacred. And in that place you begin to harmonically attune with creation and the creator beyond it, the true creator. When you are living in fasting, naturally your mind purifies. You don't have the energy to run after your sin, to run after your pursuit of worldly desire as a image of freedom. Beyond there, you are also being temperate in the consumption of energy. And in that space, you begin to offer energy, a different energy. You offer the energy of love into this world, unpolluted and unabashed. And the field of time, space and matter responds to that. It feeds energy back into you. It is giving energy freely. And you now are a channel to give that energy freely. And when they both meet, it builds. And so fasting builds the power of spirit inside of you because of that. And that too is a harmonic attunement. Then you have grace. Grace means that you know that God loves you and has forgiven you. That's ultimately what grace means. That gives you a legal right now to get out of your mind, get out of identification with the story of you and self-condemnation, and stand as if you never did anything wrong, as if you are as pure and holy and righteous as can be, and that you deserve every blessing and gift and power that God can bestow upon such a holy and righteous man. That is grace. That is the message of grace, that right here, right now, you have that offer. Of course, you can have that offer and then run off into worldly desire, and it won't work, because you have a conscience within you that's well aware of what you're doing. Now, I say all of this because the chrism, the sacred secretion that I mentioned within you, this is that which animates consciousness within us. And when we live in a riotous way, when we pursue that the image of worldly desire is somehow freedom, when we fall for that trap, then we don't care about the essence, the life force within us. I recently made a video where I spoke about a writer from the Marvel Comics who practices demonology. And he was teaching young men that they should make a sigil, like a symbol, this symbol that you break down about your worldly desire, and then you should masturbate on it. Now, this follows the work of Aleister Crowley, and Aleister Crowley called it child sacrifice. Now, if you look at this, he is saying that if you waste this precious life force within you that the whole of the cosmos has offered to give you to continue the gift of life, and you use it purely for selfish indulgence and selfish pleasure to get what you want from the world, that there is a lesser programmer, not the master programmer, who may respond to you and give you your worldly riches, Satan. And so these human beings, they are literally personifying what I am getting at here, that if you offer if you don't respect the creation field, and you say that it's all just for you and your selfish will and your selfish desires, that Satan will indeed promote you and respond to you. But the price at the end of that is quite high, and so you don't want to be doing that, of course. Now, if you retain that energy, you access the higher dimension of the master programmer, and you feel full. And when you feel full and whole, which all humans want, you have all the energy you need. You stop looking, because there's no void. You stop looking in the world to fill the void that God has now filled in its presence. Now, this is important because within you is this sacred secretion, and this is coded in the Bible. Yeshua died at the age of 33. He was crucified at Golgotha, and he was wounded 5 times on the cross. He was crucified at Golgotha, that means the place of the skull, at the age of 33. The secretion that is born from your colostrum is very sensitive to the activity which is impure and unholy, to that which abuses reality and the gift of God's generous heart pouring into creation. It's offering you life. It's offering you a beautiful experience here, and you can take that and churn it up inside the technology of your mind, and you can turn it into a purely selfish sojourn. I will do whatever I want to feel the sensations I want in this 3D realm at the detriment of anybody. When you do that, you sever the secretion. It cannot make its journey. If you live in the purity that fasting automatically offers you when you humble yourself before God like that, to be humble is to have the body and soul yielded to the will of God, to have no personal self saying, I want that and I want this. There's nothing more humble than that state of consciousness. Then the secretion travels the 33 vertebrae, and then when it enters your skull, it is crucified. It sits in the pituitary for 2.5 days, just as Yeshua did, sit in the tomb, and then it's resurrected. And when it's resurrected, it offers you access to new chemicals inside the brain, which offer you the connection to the higher mind. You don't need to know about that physiologically inside of you, but you may recognize that this happens when you're fasting. Something gives way and you say, what was that? There is some higher state, and what it is that you are being filled with the presence of the Holy Spirit. You are being filled with the presence of the intermediary between the master programmer and the 3D realm. And in opening that wormhole to that space of pure light and pure love, which is pouring forth all creation without judgment, infinite potential, free will included. You are in that space only able to vibrate in a connection to that dimension when the anatomical design of your body returns that secretion into place. Now, it doesn't matter if you are aware of it or not. If you are merely a Christian and you feel it, I'm filled with the Holy Spirit, I find it easy to overcome my sin. If I don't, I automatically condemn myself and want to confess it to somebody. You are living in a higher mind, and you don't know that this has taken place, but it has. It has taken place within you. And this is the inner salvation of man. It is that which Yeshua set forth in our lives to understand, that we no longer have to live permanently in the lower mind. Now we have this alteration inside the 3D matrix, whereby this chrism, this iktos, can finally make its return journey, and we can live from the higher mind, which means we can return to God, from our fallen world, our fallen state. It is our return to Eden, our return to Eden consciousness. When this is happening, the frequency of your body is so tight that entities of this world whose frequency are like this are shattered, like resonance on a glass making it pop. It purifies them. If you are not in the tightness of frequency and you are drawn out in your worldly desire, of course entities can enter. You both match on a frequency level. If you tighten that frequency to hold spirit within you, entities cannot come into you. And not only that, in time you will be filled with so much spirit, you will be so edified with the connection to the master programmer Christ and the power of that spirit within you, that you will be able to purify these energy forms, these entities, away from your fellow man, from your family, and of course shield yourself from them as well. All of this is born from fasting. And you have a birthright to access that, and it seems to go against the natural law of the 3D reality that you're in. It seems to go against the want of your body to eat food every day, to be in the known and comfortable. But the comfortable known is not where you live. The comfortable known is where you become imprisoned because of your fear of the unknown. And fear of the unknown is a trick, because fear of the unknown is impossible because you don't know it. You do not know the unknown. Now see that. If you ever fear the unknown, what you fear is your own thoughts about the unknown. And that means that the prison that fasting sets you free from is in fact the prison of your own mind and your body's impulses to the 3D matrix, inputting images, fears and desires into that mind. And you, as you are not in the space where you are aware of your thoughts and your awareness is mixed with your thoughts, you have no thought control. So your thought comes and it generates an image of you wanting something, and desire is born. Now as awareness, you walk through the world, you see something beautiful, the body reacts, finds someone attractive, and you can make the call as awareness. Do I allow my thoughts to create an image at this moment, so as I create desire for this being or this person? And if you can say no to it, you can live a far healthier life. For you can live a life whereby your will is yielded to something higher than the passions of your flesh, the impulse of your body, and the identification with a mind, a personal history, personal desires, a personal self, and all of its wants, all of its self-will, and all of its traumas, etc. as well. So this is water fasting. I hope for some of you that it has brought something into you to understand the gift and the benefits of this profoundly beautiful, beautiful gift that we as humans all can have access to, and at least safely for up to 3 days guaranteed to have access to. God bless, guys. My love with you all. Bye.